Welcome to Day by Day True Crime Stories, the podcast where every day we delve into a different crime or justice milestone that happened this day in history. I'm your host, Kona Gallagher, and today is January 10th. On this day in 2019, the world was given yet another reason to never give up on a missing person. After 88 harrowing days in captivity, 13-year-old Jayme Closs managed to escape her abductor and find her way to safety. Her story is one of unimaginable tragedy, but also one that shows the girl's remarkable strength. Today, we'll talk about the events leading up to her abduction, her time in captivity, and the moment when she reclaimed her freedom. It all began on October 15th, 2018, in the small town of Barron, Wisconsin. In the early morning hours, Jake Thomas Patterson, a 21-year-old man with no prior connection to the Closs family, carried out a meticulously planned attack. Now, I mentioned that he had no prior connection to the family. Patterson had actually seen Jayme by chance while she was getting on her school bus. He became fixated with her after that sighting and started plotting her abduction. Armed with a shotgun, Patterson drove to the Closs home. He approached the house and shot and killed Jayme's father, Jayme Closs, through the front door. He then forced his way into the home. Jayme and her mother, Denise, had barricaded themselves in the bathroom, but Patterson forced his way in. He ordered Denise to bind Jayme's hands and feet with tape. After doing so, he shot Denise in front of her daughter. With Jayme terrified, bound, and helpless, Patterson dragged her out of the house, put her in the trunk of his car, and drove off. When police found what had happened at the Closs home, the Barron community was, of course, shocked. A massive search effort was launched, and hundreds of volunteers, local law enforcement officers, and FBI agents worked tirelessly, following every lead and combing the surrounding area. However, despite these efforts, days turned into weeks, which turned into months with no sign of Jayme. Still, her friends, family, and community clung on to the hope that she would be found. After Patterson took Jayme, for the next 88 days, he held her captive at his remote cabin in Gordon, Wisconsin, about 70 miles from her home. The conditions that Jayme endured were horrifying. Patterson kept her hidden under the bed for long stretches of time, using heavy objects like totes and weights to barricade her in. She was often left without food or access to a bathroom, and Patterson controlled every aspect of her life, warning her against any attempts to escape. But despite the warnings and the intense fear she must have been feeling, Jayme refused to give up. In a statement she released later, Jayme said, quote, "I never gave up hope. I knew I had to be strong for my parents and for myself," end quote. While he held her captive, Patterson's behavior alternated between controlling and chillingly casual. He would leave the cabin for hours at a time, assuming that Jayme was too frightened or that she was physically unable to escape. But every time he did that, every time he left thinking she would just stay where he left her, Jayme was quietly observing, just waiting for the right moment to act. And that moment finally came on January 10th, 2019. Patterson left the cabin once again, telling Jayme he would be gone for several hours. Sensing an opportunity, Jayme seized her chance. She pushed aside the heavy objects that were trapping her and ran from the cabin, wearing only a light shirt, leggings, and a pair of Patterson's oversized sneakers. Remember, we're talking January in the woods of Wisconsin. It was freezing, and Jayme wandered through the snow-covered terrain, determined to find help. Thankfully and almost unbelievably, she eventually encountered Jean Nutter, a local woman walking her dog. Jean immediately recognized Jayme from all of the news stories about her and brought her to a neighbor's home where they were able to call 911. Jayme provided crucial details about her abductor and his location, and this information led to Patterson's arrest very quickly, within hours. Somewhat surprisingly, when police caught up with him, Patterson didn't resist arrest, and he quickly confessed to his crimes. He described in chilling detail how he had carefully planned the attack and had believed that he could have kept Jayme prisoner there in his cabin for years. He also admitted that he had selected Jayme completely at random and had murdered her parents. In February 2019, Patterson pleaded guilty to 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide and 1 count of kidnapping. During his sentencing, Jayme's remaining family addressed the court, sharing the immense pain and trauma that Patterson's actions had caused. In a powerful statement read by her attorney, Jayme declared, quote, "He thought he could own me, but he was wrong. I was smarter. I escaped." End quote. Patterson received 2 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, along with an additional 40 years for kidnapping. The judge described his crimes as, quote, "beyond comprehension," end quote. After Jayme's escape, she began the long road to recovery. She moved in with her aunt and uncle and was surrounded by a network of family and friends who offered her the love and support that she needed to heal. Jayme received the Hometown Hero Award from the Wisconsin Assembly and was recognized by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. John Walsh, the host of America's Most Wanted, and NCMEC co-founders said, quote, "Jayme represents the true definition of a survivor," end quote. In Barron, a community that had been deeply shaken by this crime, people rallied around Jayme and her family. While she was gone, they held fundraisers and vigils, and just acts of kindness poured in, showing how strong a community can really be. Today, Jake Patterson remains in prison, serving 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole. And as for Jayme Closs, her journey continues in private. While the trauma she endured, of course, will always be part of her story, her courage and determination remind us of the incredible strength that one person can find within themselves. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Day by Day True Crime Stories. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing, rating, and leaving a review. It'll help more people find us. And be sure to join me tomorrow as we explore another true crime story from this day in history. Until then, take care of yourself and take care of those around you. Day by Day True Crime Stories is a Little Monster production.
Hey, you can do it!